Welcome back everyone. Elmo's favorite chef waifu Qiuhua is here and she is here to cook. And I mean that both literally and figuratively. Cause you know she is a chef, she likes cooking meals in the kitchen and on the battlefield she brings the heat to absolutely cook the enemies. Qiuhua completes the full barn comp in global with her arrival and we will probably not see a new barn doll coming for a very long time, as we have caught up with all the barn dolls available in CN now. Qiuhua is generally considered the Klukai of the barn comp and is exceptional at boss fights like Gunsmoke Frontline. But does that mean everyone should be pulling for her? Not really. And that's why we need to look into her optimal dupes, weapons, kit, team synergy, etc. to learn more about her true value and determine if it's worth investing in her for your specific account. So without further ado, let's jump into it. But before that, a quick word from our sponsor. Yes, this is my very first sponsored video and it's Book of Yog. Oh my god, what is happening? You got a dragon waifu with customizable outfits, and I mean really customizable outfit. It's a free-to-play idle RPG game available on Steam and Epic Game Store, and it's perfect for all the waifu collectors cause they got so many of these gorgeous characters there. And then there's this one. You have seen horse girls, but they got centaur girls for you here. It's got some very bold and definitely cultured character arts, which is for sure the standout feature of this game. You have your standard gacha system where you can pull this transparent mechanical princess with two huge reasons I'm definitely looking at to pull for, and a variety of other multi-species girls according to your taste, like this succubus or this mercenary gunslinger. And did I already mention that most characters allow you to fully customize their outfits and accessories in an immersive experience? And the core gameplay doesn't suck either. It's basically a Diablo-like with adventure, combat, leveling up, treasure hunting and loot collecting in dungeons or the wild, which is great for all the strategy tactical gamers looking for the next action RPG to sink their time into. There's this roguelike game mode with big boss fights which is really addictive. And the game offers autoplay with different speed settings, so your dailies don't take a long time and you get most of your resources from idle farming. It's perfect for a casual, fun and stress-free daily gaming experience. So feel free to check it out from the link in description or the pinned comment. And now back to the review. Starting with the TLDR discussion. Qiuhua is a shotgun-wielding barn vanguard type character. And despite not being a sentinel type, she is considered the hyper DPS of the barn comp. While she is also useful as a follow-up attacker, enemy buff cleanser and enemy barn debuffer, her true identity lies in her raw single target damage output capability. That's why she is primarily really good at bossing stages and her value drops significantly in multi-target mobbing stages. Her core mechanism revolves around stacking a dot-type debuff on an enemy called Scorch Mark, which we'll learn more about while discussing her skills. But just know that with the full burn team and a perfect setup, her numerical maximum potential single target damage is possibly the highest in the game, even more than Klukai. So does that make her the best unit in the game? Absolutely not. Klukai is still all you need. As I already mentioned, Qiuhua's potential is very tightly tied to her teammates in the battlefield. To make her actually do good damage and be competitive in the current meta, you have to play her only in the barn comp. And specifically you need Chongju with her expansion key and V1 vector to enable Qiuhua's ultimate potential. So basically Qiuhua by herself does not make the barn team a top tier team, but the barn team becomes a top tier team with Qiuhua. Do you get it? While on the other hand you can slot Klukai into virtually any team comp as a flex slot and she will start carrying that team. They are not comparable. The lack of team synergy versatility is not the only restrictive factor for Qiuhua either. She is very much an either V0 skip or V6 type of unit. While we have seen that Klukai or Springfield were also highly recommended to go for V6 for their best potential, they were also very much a top tier unit at lower dupes like V0 or V1 etc. Not the same case for Qiuhua. A V0 Qiuhua is not the hyper DPS we are looking for. She is very closer to Sarkri at that level, which isn't bad, but it does diminish her pull value a lot. And with each dupe, her damage potential keeps going up with the biggest jump at V6 massively boosting her actual damage output. That's when she becomes the hyper DPS and worth the investment. And also that's why it is not very recommended to pull for her or just get her V0 for waifu reasons for F2Ps and low spenders. Especially when we just had the Springfield banner and we are already low on resources. You will be better off borrowing a V6 Qiuhua from any whale friend of yours in your platoon for the Gunsmoke team building and better invest your resources into the other barn units to actually get the full top tier barn comp experience. Weapon wise also, since she is a shotgun user, we don't have lots of choices and her signature one stands out a lot as the best value, but you can definitely work with the battle pass weapon or the SSR swap ones. Now that we have an understanding of her overall profile and value, let's check out her skills to understand her full kit better, and we need to know how that scorch mark mechanism works, so let's go. Starting with her ultimate, it does AoE burn damage in a 3 tile radius with a 6 tile target range. The ult eats up all her confectance index or energy and increases damage multiplier by 5% for each energy consumed. And the big thing, it applies the scorch mark debuff to all enemies as well. What is scorch mark? It's a stackable dot type burn debuff with each stack equivalent to 7% of the caster's attack as burn damage. How do you put the stacks on an enemy? Whenever an enemy with this debuff receives burn damage from any ally, the stack increases by 1. And at the end of action, all stacks are released at once and the enemy takes the full burn damage. That's it. It can be stacked up to 12 stacks. It's not dispellable but gets removed if the caster dies. This is her core mechanic and main source of damage, and we will know its impact more when we see the Vertebrae levels. Her passive isn't much complicated. She does more burn damage when there's no other allies close by. If an enemy in her attack range gets overburned, she does a burn damage support attack and increases her energy by 1. It can trigger once per turn. And when she does burn damage to an enemy with the scorch mark debuff, her crit rate is increased by 30%. Her skill 2 is very essential in her rotation, as she can jump to a tile in 6 tile range and does burn damage to the nearest ally within 6 tiles. It also reduces her ult cooldown by 1 and gives her an extra attack. Skill 1 is a pretty straightforward single target burn damage. It has a range of 6, but if she is attacking an enemy within 4 tiles, it will do 5% more damage and 1 more stability damage, and we don't care about her basic attack. So moving on to her Vertebrae levels. As mentioned earlier, only V0 and V6 are basically the recommended pulling breakpoints. She isn't that great at V0 but is a monster at V6. And I do want to mention a few middle vertebrae and point out what's helping her improve along the way. V1 reduces her ult cooldown by 1, which helps her rotation a lot, and also triggers all scorch marks once without resetting them. V2 increases her support attacks limit from 1 to 2 per turn, and V1 Vector increases that limit even more. V3 removes the scorch mark limit, so unlimited scorch marks now instead of only 12 at V0. And finally, V6 is the one. It changes how scorch mark works, and that's why this one's the best too. Per stack damage is now 10% of the caster's attack instead of 7%, and it gains stacks twice as fast. So every time allies do an instance of burn damage, the enemy now gains 2 stacks instead of 1. Coupled with no stack limit, this becomes a huge nuke at the end of action. To showcase a comparison between V0 and V6, at V0 the number of stacks is limited at 12, so it does a maximum of 12 multiplied by 7 equals to 84% of her attack as the burn damage to the enemy. Now at V6, let's consider this burn comp. In a full turn, Qiuhua usually goes last to build the most possible stacks from all the other allies' burn damages. When Qiuhua's turn comes, this burn team can easily achieve 20 instances of burn damage to the enemy, since burn team has lots of support attacks, and with the expansion keys equipped, all of QJ and Sarkri's support attacks become burn type. 20 instances equals 20 times 2, 40 stacks on the enemy, which equals to 400% of her attack compared to the 84% at V0. We are not even done yet. Since when C attacks, it immediately triggers this 400% attack nuke but doesn't yet reset all the stacks as we knew from V1. We will get more support attacks from QJ, Sarkri or Vector, whoever's remaining, and it can reach 46 stacks easily. And then finally at the end of action, it triggers the 460% attack nuke again. You cannot reach this many stacks without the V6 buff, and hopefully now you understand why she is a V6 or bust type of unit. Let's talk about her weapon choices now. Her signature weapon definitely stands out as the best choice for her, as we do not have a lot of shotgun options. But if you have the Battle Pass shotgun, it's not far behind at all, and it's pretty competitive in usability. For F2Ps though, we can either go for the Heartseeker or Mezzaluna. Both standard SSR shotguns are good choices, although they are kinda behind the premium options. Okay, on to her build. The weapon attachment set choice here is the Burn Boost set, or when you are in doubt, Phase Strike set. That's always a good option for any elemental units. The substats priority is attack percentage, then flat attack, then crit rate, followed by crit damage percentage, standard DPS stuff. You wanna target around 2600 attack, 90% plus crit rate, and 165% plus crit damage for an endgame full build. Her best in slot fixed keys are Meal Prep to give 3 energy at start, Roaring Stove to immediately put Scorch Mark on the boss without her needing to attack, and Fragrant Star Fry to maintain the overburn debuff on enemy. As for the common keys, besides her own, she can use other Burn Dolls keys, but that takes it away from them. So other than those, you can use Ulreed, Vepli or any other attack percentage plus crit percentage keys on her. Her skill rotations differ slightly between V0 and V1 plus as the ult cooldown changes come into effect. At V0 she is less reliant on her ult and the rotation looks like this. But at V1 her rotation becomes very streamlined with skill 2 plus ult and then skill 1, repeating this sequence for the whole fight. As for a team synergy, we have already discussed that she is exclusive to the burn team comp and you pretty much need Qiuhua and Vector accompanying her. In a full burn comp, you complete it with Sakri and Centaurisi, which would be the go-to choice as our favorite team to be in. But now that we have the Hydro combo available to us, you can also kinda go Tololo plus Springfield to make the burn Hydro hybrid team. And it should be really good as well, since those two by themselves are enough DPS and sustain to replace the burn units. Okay, that's pretty much all the details and it brings us to the final recommendation. In my opinion, F2Ps and low spenders can definitely opt to skip Qiuhua and work with a borrowed V6 Qiuhua from support when needed. Or you can just get her at V0 for waifu reasons as I mentioned earlier. None of the middle dupes are significant breakpoints and I would highly recommend going for V6 directly if you are keen on building her for your account. And finally, you can definitely get her signature weapon after that to complete her build fully. So there you go. That concludes our review of Qiuhua. I am probably gonna be skipping, but do let me know in the comments if you are going for her. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, feel free to drop a like and subscribe, and if you want to directly show your support, you have the option to join the channel membership or send a super thanks. Those will always be super appreciated. And don't forget to check out Book of Yog if you are interested from the links below. They were kind enough to sponsor me for the first time, so I would appreciate you all giving it a go. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more Girls Frontline 2 content, and I'll catch you then. Goodbye.